Hello, friends, both old and new. I'm Djinn St. Baptiste, and we are talking American Gods, Season 1, Episode number 5, Lemon Scented You today. Unfortunately, Amy Truer than True was not able to make it, so it's just going to be me. Sorry. I'm not as cute, charming, or intelligent, but I'll go ahead and do my best. By the way, if anyone is interested, when Amy can't make it, if you would like to come on to discuss an episode, please let me know, because she has, 2 children and a family and all that, and sometimes she just can't make it, and things go on. So if you can't, then if she can't, and you would be interested in live discussing the episode with me, kind of as a backup, let me know. But yeah, this show is so good. It's hard for me to pick out a favorite episode or favorite episodes, but this has to be in my top 2 or 3 for the first season, because so much goes on here, and it's very subtle. And it's very nicely done. A lot of it's taken outside of the book, which I will get into here in a bit. But yeah, just when this episode really did a lot for me. So first, I'll say hi to everybody in the chat. Oh, we've got Bear Island Josh. Good to see you, man. I hope you enjoyed your track being put up last week on Midweek Music Ear Candy. We got Siren Quicksand. Thank you for coming by. I've seen you at the Silent Johns before, but this is your first time here, so good to see you. Of course, we have Bron Holler, the one spanner to rule them all. Lemon Swirl 1, who I have not met before, but was apparently just representing because of the name of the episode. I hope you've watched it. If you've not, you really need to watch American Gods. It's a freaking unbelievable show. And Peter Griffin was in here. Hopefully we will get a few more people out here. So this episode starts off. Oh yeah, Bear Island. Josh. Yeah, I'm actually checking out a lot more work by them. Some good stuff. I'm enjoying it. So thank you. By the way, somebody remind me about a half hour into this if that I have a special announcement to make about subscribers of mine, and something that you can contribute to that is going to be a mystery surprise. Speaking of announcements to make, I just want to shout out Lauren's Corner, a very good friend of my channel who is currently trying to raise money for some cancer research. If you look down in the description for this video, you will see the link. Even a cup of tea helps, but all the money she's raising, she's going to film getting 21 inches of hair cut off, because she's donating it, and all the money that she is raising from this donation goes straight to the charity, so you don't have to worry about middle persons or anything like that, which is pretty cool. She might be popping in here to say hi for a wee bit, which would be awesome, but definitely something worth checking out. But let's go ahead and get into this episode. Now, what I like about how this episode begins is, for anyone who read the books, the coming to America this starts with. And by the way, you have to look very, very, very carefully to see the words coming to America, but they are there. It only pops up for a second. And I think that recurring motif throughout the series with all these coming to America stories is just awesome. But this is way, 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 way back. This is the crossing of the Bering Strait. We see the tribe. I love the way that the animation is done here. It's very surreal. I think it works well with the story. And it's almost straight out of the book. And of course, there has to be a sacrifice. And the buffalo takes that sacrifice. Now, I don't know if everybody here has read the book, but that white buffalo means a lot. Very important. Something to stick a pin in. The white buffalo with Plains Indians, particularly in America, it is a very recurring symbol, and it represents the land. Yes, Bear Allen Josh, it is a great Ted Nugent song. I you should look at the collection of guns in my basement and my record collection, because I'm quite the Ted Nugent fan for a number of reasons. But yeah, very good call there. But we see they come over the land, and she loses her child, which is, I wouldn't even want to imagine. Like, I want to punch mine. Don't worry, he's an adult. He's not a child. It wouldn't be child abuse. It would just be assault and battery. I want to punch mine sometimes, but the thought of losing your child is just, really rough, really harsh. But she loses her child, and then their god demands the ultimate sacrifice, and she loses her life. And then the tribe meets another tribe, and they don't want peace. They don't want to accept the other tribe as the tribe that rules them, and so forth. So chieftain dies, and the kids go on, and the god is left behind. Yes, Ron Holler. I do like how this one was animated. It gives it that whole mythological feeling, that whole aspect of something that is from another time, I guess, so to speak. And I think it was a great way to open the episode up. Also, as I said, this coming to America is almost lifted straight off the way it's done in the book. And we're finally given the motif that the past 4 episodes have led up to, that this one really discusses, about gods being forgotten. And, once they're forgotten, then they don't really have quite as much significance, because there's no one to worship them. Prehistory rather than American history. That's a good point, Josh. Uh, you know, and it's it, the way it's portrayed is like you can look at it as a mythological thing. You can, since it's not shot, as Brown Hollow was saying, it's not shot live action. It has this whole storybook recounting type of concept to it, which I thought was done really well. Really well. Does anyone have any other thoughts about the intro? Give you a second. Okay. So we move to the episode proper. And of course, there has to be a fly. Now, anyone who watches this channel on a regular basis, you know how much I hate flies, how much they freaking disgust me. Yes, Brown Holler, I know you're a big bug fan, but you gotta admit, flies are pretty freaking gross. And it starts off with fly, and it's the close up, and like yeah, I almost lost my lunch the first time I watched this because I wasn't expecting that. But I guess I should have expected it given the context of the main character of the past episode and this episode to an extent. But yeah, so we go back for the third time to Laura sitting and waiting for Shadow in his hotel room. And, she's just sitting there waiting. And, hi, puppy, which, as Amy pointed out last week, it's a really demeaning nickname, you know? And even here, she tells him to sit next to her. It's very, I personally, I like the development of Laura's character in this show, especially compared to the books. But I would not put up with somebody talking to me like that, somebody treating me like that. But Shadow, he's just such a good little sucker. Oh, hey, Lawrence Corner's here. Yeah, Bear Allen, Josh. She viewed herself as superior to him. It's very true. Lauren, by the way, I did mention your charity that you're trying to donate some money for, and people can find information about that in the comment section down below. Thanks for stopping by. It's good to see you. And yeah, I'm sorry Amy couldn't make it today. Usually I have somebody to bounce off of, but you're just going to have to put up with me talking by myself, which I'll try and keep as interesting as possible. But yeah, I think it's great that the first thing that Shadow says is, we have some unresolved issues that we need to discuss. He's very matter of fact. He's very straightforward, which I think is awesome. It's like, yeah, you died with my best friend's dick in your mouth. So let's go ahead and talk about that. And then we go on to she's explaining it, and I like how they picked this up straight out of the book. This is a great thing about Gaiman being the executive producer of the show, because he's not giving as much input as he necessarily did with Good Omens, or that he's allegedly going to be giving with Sandman, which I am so stoked about. Oh my gosh. If it really happens, I've heard this story so many times and it hasn't happened, but if it happens, oh my gosh, Sandman is supposed to be greenlighted for a complete series on Netflix, and oh my gosh, that my fanboy is just getting like I don't even know how to describe it. Because Sandman is what introduced me to Neil Gaiman 30 years ago when I was like a wee little thing. It really inspired me to look into him as a writer and just find all this amazing work that he does. And now I'm obsessed enough that I put up a show every Wednesday just to talk about things involving Neil Gaiman. But so Shadow asked her, and she's really matter of fact. She just described it. She's like, I thought about it, and I didn't do it, and I felt good about not doing it, and then I didn't do it, and then the cat died. Yeah, and absolutely, Brown Holler, you're right. It like so much weird shit has happened to Shadow that like walking into his hotel room and his dead wife is sitting there. By the way, we get to hear dead wife this episode, which I love. His dead wife's just sitting there, and he's just like, yes, this isn't even weird. Like I've seen so much messed up shit that this doesn't even phase me in the slightest. It's like, okay, yeah, you're dead. Uh, I think we should talk about that. She's so matter of fact about talking about how everything happened, and then she asks him to get her a cigarette, and he goes to a vending machine at the hotel, which I think is really interesting because you don't really see those anymore. But I guess in some more rural areas you would. Speaking of which, I'm smoking. Um, you you don't see cigarette vending machines anymore. It's kind of an homage to some things that come up later in this episode. There are certain things that just disappear from our society and get forgotten. When I started smoking cigarettes when I was far too young, there was a bowling alley a couple blocks away from my house, and I would go there, and you could use their machine, and it was around the corner, so they wouldn't say anything if like some 12-year-old kid was buying cigarettes. Those days are long gone now, though. And they should have been long gone then. I probably wouldn't have this horrible, horrible habit that I do now. But we see another raven, which is very important. And Shadow comes back, and Laura's like, I can't taste this. And she's sitting in the tub, and she's like, I want to be warm in case you want to touch me, in case you want to kiss me. Which is like a really touching moment and a really disturbing moment at the same time. Because it, she has more love and compassion and so forth for Shadow than she ever did when she was alive. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, oh, I want my lips to be warm so you can kiss me. And dips herself in the tub, and he's talking. He's talking about the phone conversation that they had, and he was like, "I knew something was going to happen. Like, I knew you were going to die. Like, I didn't know it, but I knew it," which I can relate to, uh, for totally different reasons. Yeah, Josh, pretty presumptuous of her too. It's like he's like, "Hey, dead wife." Yeah, I agree. She is quite self centered. She's a terribly self centered person. Um, but on the same note, Shadow means more to her than anything, especially right now. And I guess one would say that she just expresses it poorly. But I do agree that her thought pattern is extremely self centered. And she says, "I'm sure there are things about our marriage that we're gonna have to work on." Well, yeah, like the fact that you're dead. Around how you put it best there. Yeah. Let's talk about the miracle of me being here and not about all the shitty stuff I did and ignore the until death do us part bit. Yeah. That's it's a very good quote. Because that's how she's looking at this. When you think about it, like, she's undead. Like I think that after one has shuffled off that moral coil, one has an entirely different view of everything, and it's even discussed when you read the book that the dead don't think about things the same way the living do. Like everything's just kind of matter of fact, which I think is awesome. It very much harkens back to Greek mythology with Hades, because you have the uh, specters, like for example, that Homer comes across, or that Odysseus comes across in Homer, in the Odyssey, who have just completely forgotten their life. Or what they remember their life, their cares aren't really there anymore. They're just like, hey, matter of fact about it. And but she finally gets Shadow to kiss her, and her heart beats. And I thought that scene was really awesome. We've talked about this a million times on this channel. They are very, very parsimonious about using CGI, but I think when it's done, it's done extremely well, because it's used for just like a moment or just a tick, or and I think that's I personally think that's great. It's the proper use of it. Oh, Siren Quicksand's mom is listening. Oh, Your mom's Bobby. Okay. Hi, Bobby. Enjoy listening. Um, and then we have the coin finally discussed. And Shadow says, I know somebody who's looking for that coin. And she says, well, it's mine now. Yeah, as you said, Josh, yeah, she's a pretty self-centered person. Or, I'm sorry, Brown Holler said that Josh and Flutters as well. Yeah, the coin's mine now. Are you still my puppy? Like, that is like the worst pet name. Like, I don't date, but if anybody ever called me freaking puppy, I would just be like, see you, bye. So we had the Raven watching all this going on, and now the Raven's knocking at Wednesday's door. And I guess I still won't drop any spoilers, but you have to have figured this out now. Especially by the end of this episode, you have to have figured out exactly what's going on. Well, not exactly what's going on, but at least what's going on with Wednesday. So Wednesday comes to talk to Shadow, and Bear Island, Josh, his girlfriend calls him Bear. I'd rather be called Bear than Puppy. Especially if somebody's like patting the seat next to them. That's I don't know. I don't think I could deal with that. But and Wednesday's like obviously trying to get Shadow out of the situation of talking to Laura. And then the cops pull up. And they arrest them for bank robbery. So, this is not out of the book. So, this whole scene really surprised me. First time I watched it. Oh, now we're talking about animal pet names. Well, apparently somebody named Adolf thinks that I look like a pervert because I'm a ginger. Okay. Yeah, actually, if I did have an animal connotation, it would be a fox. So, I mean, I've got one tattooed on my body. So, yeah. If uh, somebody's got a spanner to Braunholler, if you could go ahead and take care of Adolf there, that would be fabulous. Okay, now, yeah, if Braun, I know you have a spanner. If you would get rid of this garbage, that would be absolutely wonderful. Because I'm not going to put up with that on my channel. Oh, I do like when people make fun of me, though. It's awesome that it usually works out. Yeah, so anyway, we're going to go ahead and probably just go ahead and go on with this episode. Well, I think Braun Holler stepped away for a bit, the one spanner that rules them all. But Braun, if you can go ahead and take the trash out, that would be awesome. No, actually, I'm not still a virgin. Ask your mom. So we go into Tech Boy's scene where he's walking out of the club, and the lights keep turning off as he's walking up to his limousine, which is just great. And as he's walking up, the lights keep popping off, and then he sees the wee little machine. Sorry. Sorry. Some people are just unpleasant. But hey, there are unpleasant people in the world. They're kind of fun. Anyway, let's go ahead and get back to this episode because I'm not going to let people irritate me. So, Tech Boy is walking out to his car. Yes, Peter Griffin. Apparently, I have a fan club. I'm also a gay Jewish ginger. One of those things is true. I guess technically, two of those things are true, but because all Christians are Jews. And I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this post up here. No, never mind. Ah, fuck it. I do have nice hair. So we have Tech Boy, and he's walking out to his car, and the little machine, which we will see play in the show we've seen once, we will see come out again. And he just sees it, and he knows what it means, and he's like, and then we meet David Bowie Media, which I loved this scene. I loved this scene so much. Oh, Johnny Be Crazy just popped in the chat. I have nice head whiskers. Hey, Johnny, how you doing, man? Yeah. Oh, Gillian Anderson is just so brilliant in this season as Media. Yeah, Bowie Media was the best. I mean, it was perfect. It was just so perfectly done, and the way she talks to them, you know, your circuit's dead. Apologize. And I love that when she's like calling him out on how stupid it was to attack Shadow. It's so meta, but it's great. And she says, "You're putting out fire with gasoline." Which is a straight line from a Bowie song, which is just awesome. It, and the whole reference to that, I've always loved that whole reference since I first heard that track. So I thought that was really good. And Tech Boy's just being like the snotty little brat that he is. And she's just like, you don't understand, you're advertising yourself improperly. It's all about the way you send things out. We created mass hysteria in 1938 with Martians, and now starmen are in the sky. And she tells him, he says he apologizes to Mr. World for this bad decision. She says, you don't need to apologize to Mr. World. You need to apologize to the people who you offended. And he's just like, fuck that. And she's like, no, you don't understand. That's what needs to happen. So, I really enjoyed this scene. Did anybody have any thoughts about the whole scene with Media Bowie? Sorry, guys, I'm asking you for your thoughts and opinions because Amy wasn't able to make it tonight. So I just have to talk by myself, which, like I said, I'm doing my best. No, Brian, you're not a useless mod at all. You're the one spanner that rules them all. Yes, Barrel and Josh. I'm glad you got the reference. Yes, there's a Starman waiting in the sky. It ties that whole scene up with a little bow on a ribbon. I just thought it was perfectly done. So we move on to now Shadow and Wednesday are sitting in separate interrogation rooms in the police station. And by the way, if you ever get in trouble with the police, at least here in America, for anything, Johnny wants my cat to spray me. A, she's a girl. B, she's spayed. I don't think that can happen, but hey, man, hold on to your kinks, man. Yeah, Gillian Anderson did crush it. Absolutely crushed it. But okay, so if you're ever in a situation with police in the United States, what Shadow does here is actually the smartest thing you can freaking do. When they're asking you questions, you just keep saying lawyer. Lawyer. May I have a lawyer, please? May I have a lawyer, please? Don't answer anybody's questions. Not without a lawyer present. Not with. Just don't. Attorney, or for those who are across the way, I think that would be a solicitor, right? A solicitor. If somebody can make sure that I'm correct here, a solicitor defends you, a barrister accuses you. I think I'm right there. If I'm wrong, please somebody correct me or say, "Hey, John, you're right." But they're playing the cop games, and the it's it's well done, but it's almost shtick. At least I felt that way. Like the cop interrogation games, and I love that Shadow just keeps saying lawyer, and Wednesday just acts like he's a freaking crazy old man. He's very good at that. I mean, we're talking about the ultimate, uh, probably one of the ultimate con artists of all time. So that comes off really well. Yeah, Johnny, we had a troll, but I wash my hands. No, you're not a troll. You're a fine, upstanding young man. But then they see the pictures, and that's when Shadow really realizes, like, this camera on him all the time, something always watching him. And the cop, who's interrogating Shadow, I think really has. Yeah, I mean, she's on to something. She's like, you guys are up against some pretty crazy shit. Maybe I can help you out. Like, she's doing her police officer angle on it, but I think she's getting a grasp of what's going on. Unfortunately, she comes to a very bloody demise later in the episode, but we'll see that. But she literally asks, "Does your boss have enemies?" And oh yeah, Wednesday apparently has quite a few enemies. She says they got fax. Like, who sends faxes anymore? And she even points it out. And the fax had the precise location, where they were, where they could be picked up, where they could be caught. And then we flash back to Wednesday, and he's talking to the police officer who's interrogating him, and he's like, "Oh, you want the real truth?" And he literally gives it to him. Like, he literally gives it to him. He literally tells him, "Oh, well, I was there. I was trying to recruit a god of death." Trying to recruit a god of death. And then there's the leprechaun, and he's a fucking idiot. It's just so great. It's the whole what's the word I'm looking for? Pay attention to my left hand. Don't pay attention to what my right hand's doing. I can't think of what the word is. Sorry, my apologies. But and then he's like, and then there's this Nancy, and then we flash back to Shadow's interrogation, and she's trying to pull the, "Oh, well, I heard your wife just passed away. Maybe we could get you off." Because after Shadow finds out that they've been literally being followed, he's like, I might be interested. Don't do that, okay? If you ever get arrested, just keep saying lawyer. It's a smarter way to go, trust me. So we flash back to oh, Bron Holler, I put your message up. I just wanted to get off of somebody saying I had nice hair. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to run this on my own. We get to Laura. She's finished with her bath. She comes on out. And we see the first conversation between Laura and Mad Sweeney. Now, did anybody out there in the chat have any thoughts about the Laura Mad Sweeney conversation before I go into it? Give you a minute or two. Okay, so we go into Laura and Mad Sweeney, and this is cool because most of the dialogue in this is taken from the book, but in the book, it's in a conversation that Sweeney has with Shadow. So it's a conversation that Sweeney has with Shadow as opposed to a conversation that he has with Laura. But a lot of the dialogue is picked up straight from the book, talking about his coin, wanting his coin back, and I love the line that is added in. Damn his dark eyes. It's very. Uh, just, the way that piece of dialogue is delivered is just really good. But Pablo is just an amazing actor. I love him as Mad Sweeney. I mean, he's the way I pictured Mad Sweeney the first time I read the book 20 years ago. And he says, "I swear to fucking Brian," which also is straight from the book, and also is something that anyone who either grew up or grew up with people from rural Irish culture, that's actually an oath that one takes. It's a pretty serious, solid oath. And after she flicks him across the room, then Laura says, if you starts interrogating him and says, you know, if you lie to me, I'm going to kick you in the nuts. And the last person I kicked in the nuts, my foot didn't stop until it hit their throat, which is pretty awesome. And I love that he calls him Grimnia. He calls Wednesday Grimnia, which goes back to the whole theme that different people in different cultures look at these gods with different names, even though it's the same god. Everybody has their own interpretation, which I think is a key element to this show and to the book as well. And he tells her not to trust him. And he's right there. It's laid out. And we see as the season plays out, and especially through season 2, like Sweeney's always honest with Laura. He has a silver tongue, but it's an honest silver tongue. And then he says, "Hey, you how about I trade you coins? Here, I'll make you a ton." And he fills up his whole hat with coins. You need to learn how to do that trick. And she's like, "You can't take it from me, can you? I have to give it to you freely." Well, you're fucked. And then he points out, "Actually, no, I'm not. You're a corpse. You might be conscious, but you're a corpse. And especially if you keep soaking in hot water, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to decay, and I'll just pluck that coin out of your rib cage." Which has a point. All it takes is patience. So then the cops bust down the door because, it's perfect timing because he's like, "Fuck you," and he's like holding her under the tub, and he's like, and she's dead. So, but what does she do? She plays dead, which I think is just brilliant. And I think this may be the first time we hear the phrase "dead wife." Fuck you, dead wife. Oh no, you're an asshole, dead wife. Which I thought was pretty fantastic. So we move back to the police station. Oh wait, first, Josh. Yeah, except when it comes to his feelings regarding her, he's not honest. Then I have a theory about that. Yes, Sweeney keeps having bad things happen ever since that coin's gone. You're not going to get me to say the L word, but bad things keep happening to him ever since he lost his coin. And, this is another example of that, so to speak. But we go back to the police station, and they put Wednesday and Shadow in the room, and they're like, "Hey, talk about this." And a little spider crawls up Wednesday's handcuffs and opens them. And Shadow's like, "How'd you do that?" And he's like, "Hey, I got a little spider who's a friend of mine. We've met this little spider before." And he frees Shadow. Shadow asks for the first, "Who are you?" But before Wednesday can answer, media as Marilyn Monroe shows up. Which, once again, Gillian Anderson is just fracking brilliant in this episode. I mean, she's just, while she was with the series, she was just absolutely genius. Shows up. I love how they make her float in. And I love how they go into all the conspiracy theories about Kennedy's CIA goons killing Marilyn Monroe. I thought that was pretty awesome. Because once again, we're getting back to what the show's all about, which is belief, and what people believe defines reality. And a lot of people believe that. I don't know whether that's true or not. I'm kind of on the fence about the whole Marilyn Monroe death thing, but I could totally believe it. I mean, I don't trust an organization in our government that has no oversight. So, yeah. But then we have Mr. World comes in. Yes, Brown Holler, Gillian Anderson did play media so well. We finally get proper Mr. World. And we get to see the amazingness that's Crispin Glover. Oh my gosh. His delivery, everything. I mean, I have to give my acting chops for this episode to him. No question about it. And Shadow's like told by Wednesday not to answer anything, and Mr. World's like, I know you. I know everyone. I know your blood type. Like the whole speech that he gives is just twisted and awesome. It's just great all at the same time. Everything that's been recorded, like he knows Shadow's nightmares. I know your blood type, and I know your recurring dream. Your recurring dream is a nightmare about being in a bone orchard. And then this is the face that your mother, or that you make when you masturbate, and it's the same face your mother made when she had orgasms with all 87 partners that she had. Like, that's some twisted shit. Not that she had 87 partners, but like that somebody knows this about somebody. It's it really gets to your head. But then he goes back to his usual self, and he tells Tech Boy, "Hey, you need to give an apology." And I love how he whistles at him like a dog, like a puppy. Something we got to earlier, and finally Tech Boy shows up, and he tells him to apologize. And Tech Boy gives his very regretful apology. And he, like a Renaissance Pope, I absolve you. And he tells Wednesday he wants to help him. And Wednesday's like, oh, you want to call a truce? And he's like, a truce implies that we were ever at war. And they propose a merger. And I love this scene. They're talking about a guided missile to blow up North Korea, which would be great. Odin's a god of death. 2.8 million people, all dead. All dead in the name of war. That would definitely, feed him well, so to speak. But they have this, they're talking about this missile, and they have like rainbows and unicorns and so forth going on, which I just thought was absolutely, that's what media would do. Doesn't that sound swell? And Odin listens to their whole spiel, and he's like, "You're an oyster. An oyster gets a grain of sand, and makes basically a ball of snot. It's an irritant, and you might polish this thing and make it pretty and make it desirable, but basically, I'm just an irritant that you're trying to get rid of." And so this world's like, okay, whatever. We're gonna go ahead and go. And Tech Boy's like, oh, hey, why don't we just get rid of him? Mr. World's like, this man is older than you'll ever be. You must respect him. And Tech Boy's like, fuck respect. And then media gives the kiss, which it had been offered to knock out his teeth in the first place, but just a kiss that knocks out his teeth. That was just awesome. Hey, AK, what's going on? It's good to see you out here. And and Mr. World says, "This is my gift to you." And Shadow says, "What happened here?" And I love media's response. What happened happened. You can tell it however you like or however you don't like. Which once again gets back to the whole theme in this show of belief defining reality. Yeah, Alicia. Oh my gosh, yeah. I laughed when she knocked his teeth out too. That was fracking hilarious. And Shadow asks, "Is this real?" And Wednesday's like, "It's still happening." And they get out of the. They're going through the police station. Apparently, everybody in the entire police station has been like slaughtered, massacred. It, it's just an absolute mess. Dead people all over the place. Then we go back to the police car, and the two cops pull up because they had taken in Sweeney, and could not get a hold of anybody on the radio, quite obviously. So they go in. You see some gunshots. We're not sure what happened to the cops, but regardless, Sweeney's getting the F out of that car. Kicks out the door, which I think is great. It shows that a godlike strength, because those windows that they have in police cars are shatterproof. Like they can take bullets. And then we go back inside, and Shadow and Wednesday are trying to get out, and there's this crazy fracking tree. Did anybody have any thoughts about the tree? I'm going to give you a moment. I'm actually going to get up for a moment because my cat is going crazy. I will be right back. But if anybody had any thoughts about the entire tree scene, please let me know. I'm back. Alicia, yeah, I mean, wasted talent of a great actress, but I do like that this show uses so many great actors and actresses in bit parts, just pulling them in for more than a cameo, but it's a small part. Beryl and Josh, I have not seen Hellboy 2, so I'm not sure about the reference you have there. I'll look something up about that and talk about that next week. Hopefully, when Amy can be back, because she wasn't able to make it today. But O'Brien Holler had a lot of thoughts about the tree. Yeah, I did too. I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. It's not if you've read the book. The specific type of tree that's growing is a mistletoe. So that's a little clue for anybody who might know anything about Norse mythology. But yeah, Beryl and Josh does kind of remind me of Evil Dead, except there was no tree rape, which is nice. I don't think Stars could have gotten away with that. Plus, just tree rape is kind of disturbing. Alicia caught it. Nice. Good. Brown Holler, yeah, horror theme type stuff. When it first started growing, I thought it might have been helpful when they grabbed him and punched him in the guts. Yeah. They're, it doesn't seem like the nicest tree. And why is this tree working with the new gods? I think that's kind of something to wonder about. But we finally end up at the last scene of the episode. We're in the morgue. And the coroner gets up from his desk because he thought he heard something. He goes in there. You see the corpses. And then the door gets kicked in his face out of one of the coffins, and Laura comes out. And I think it's really interesting that the first thing she does is walk up to the mirror and breathe on it. And nothing happens. Yeah, dead wife's dead ass. Yeah. Even with the Y stitching and everything, dead wife's still pretty hot. Yeah, I haven't dated in years. Oh no, brown holler. It's not a tree. It's a bush, but it can get pretty freaking big. But yeah, I haven't dated anybody in years, but I do think dead wife's kind of hot. But as Johnny says, I'm a vampire, so that's probably why. So did anybody have any final thoughts about this episode? Sorry that this has been so short, but usually Amy and I can talk to each other, and she wasn't able to make it. By the way, if anybody is ever interested on a night that Amy can't make it, if you would like to be my person to talk to during one of these episodes, I would love to have you here. Also, if anyone is interested in doing something really cool that is going to be a mystery until about the first of the year, but I would really like some thoughts, ideas, contributions, and this would come back as something cool. Please, in the comment section of this video or any of my videos, I would like to ask for you to leave me 3 random words, nothing beyond PG-13. 3 words that you choose, nothing beyond PG-13. So no F's, no C's, no, sorry. A city, real or imagined, or from fiction, and a date in the past, present, or future. If you would like, please leave those in the comment section down below. There will be a very cool payoff after the first of the year. So I'll be making that announcement on all my videos, but it's going to be a pretty cool project that I'm trying to work on. Did anybody have any final thoughts about this episode? Me personally, it has to be one of my favorite of the first season. I think there's so much going on here, so much nuance. And Brown Holler, no, I'm pretty sure it wasn't an ash tree. It was a mistletoe. I think you even see the leaves coming off it. 3 random words, a city name, and a date. So, like today would be 8/28/19. But it can be a date in the future, a date in the past, whenever. Yeah, just throw it in the comment section, and like I said, after the first of the year, there will be a payoff. So, if nobody else has anything to add, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Let you enjoy your afternoon. Once again, sorry it was such a short episode, but I didn't have anybody to talk to, so I was just going straight through it. Did anybody have any questions, thoughts, ideas? All right. Well, we'll be back next Wednesday. I've got a video popping up tomorrow. Going to be some midweek music ear candy track that somebody sent me. If you're interested, another thing you can do at my channel in the comments, send me a link to a song you think that I may not have heard, and I listen to it. Do my immediate response, little curation to find out about the artist, and post a video about my thoughts. So if you'd like to share some music with me, please do. Lemon Swirl, thank you for entertaining you. I hope I did. So everybody, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon, wonderful evening, wonderful day, wonderful night for some people. And in the meantime, please believe.